after a few months. And here, so far as John Barleycorn is concerned, began a period of innocence. I did not know what it was to take a drink from month end to month end. Not yet 18 years old, healthy and with labour-hardened but unhurt muscles, like any young animal, I needed diversion, excitement, something beyond the books and the mechanical toil. I strayed into Young Men's Christian Associations. The life there was healthful and athletic, but too juvenile. For me, it was too late. I was not boy nor youth, despite my paucity of years. I had bucked big with men. I knew mysterious and violent things. I was from the other side of life so far as concerned the young men I encountered in the YMCA. I spoke another language, possessed a sadder and more terrible wisdom. When I come to think it over, I realize now that I have never had a boyhood. At any rate, the YMCA young men were too juvenile for me, too unsophisticated. This I would not have minded could they have met me and helped me mentally. But I had got more out of the books than they. Their meagre physical experiences, plus their meagre intellectual experiences, made a negative sum so vast that it overbalanced their wholesome morality and healthful sports. In short, I couldn't play with the pupils of a lower grade. All the clean, splendid young life that was theirs was denied me, thanks to my earlier tutelage under John Barleycorn. I knew too much too young. And yet, in the good time coming, when alcohol is eliminated from the needs and the institutions of men, it will be the YMCA and similar unthinkably better and wiser and more virile congregating places that will receive the men who now go to saloons to find themselves and one another. In the meantime, we live today, here and now, and we discuss today, here and now. I was working 10 hours a day in the jute mills. It was humdrum machine toil. I wanted life. I wanted to realize myself in other ways than at a machine for 10 cents an hour. And yet I had had my fill of saloons. I wanted something new. I was growing up. I was developing unguessed and troubling potencies and proclivities. And at this very stage, fortunately, I met Louis Shattuck, and we became chums. Louis Shattuck, without one vicious trait, was a real, innocently devilish young fellow, who was quite convinced that he was a sophisticated town boy. And I wasn't a town boy at all. Louis was handsome and graceful and filled with love for the girls. With him it was an exciting and all-absorbing pursuit. I didn't know anything about girls. I had been too busy being a man. This was an entirely new phase of existence which had escaped me. And when I saw Louis say good-bye to me, raise his hat to a girl of his acquaintance, and walk on with her side by side down the sidewalk, I was made excited and envious. I, too, wanted to play this game. "Well, there's only one thing to do," said Louis, "and that is, you must get a girl." Which is more difficult than it sounds. Let me show you, at the expense of a slight going aside. Louis did not know girls in their home life. He had the entree to no girl's home. And of course I, a stranger to this new world, was similarly circumstanced. But first, Louis and I were unable to go to dancing schools or to public dances, which were very good places for getting acquainted. We didn't have the money. He was a blacksmith's apprentice and was earning but slightly more than I. We both lived at home and paid our way. When we had done this and bought our cigarettes and the inevitable clothes and shoes, there remained to each of us for personal spending a sum that varied between 70 cents and $1 for the week. We whacked this up, shared it, and sometimes loaned all of what was left of it when one of us needed it for some more gorgeous girl adventure, such as car fare out to Blair's Park and back, 20 cents, bang, just like that, and ice cream for two, 30 cents, or tamales in a tamale parlor, which came cheaper and which for two cost only 20 cents. I did not mind this money meagreness. The disdain I had learned for money from the oyster pirates had never left me. I didn't care overweeningly for it for personal gratification. And in my philosophy I completed the circle, finding myself as equable with the lack of a 10-cent piece as I was with the squandering of scores of dollars in calling all men and hangers-on up to the bar to drink with me. But how to get a girl? There was no girl's home to which Louis could take me and where I might be introduced to girls. I knew none, and Louis's several girls he wanted for himself. And anyway, in the very human nature of boys' and girls' ways, he couldn't turn any of them over to me. He did persuade them to bring girl-friends for me, but I found them weak sisters, pale and ineffectual alongside the choice specimens he had. "You'll have to do like I did," he said finally. "I got there by getting them. You'll have to get one the same way." And he initiated me. It must be remembered that Louis and I were hard situated. We really had to struggle to pay our board and maintain a decent appearance. We met each other in the evening after the day's work on the street corner, or in a little candy store on a side street, our sole frequenting place. Here we bought our cigarettes and, occasionally, a nickel's worth of red hots. Oh, yes, Louis and I unblushingly ate candy, all we could get. Neither of us drank. Neither of us ever went into a saloon. But the girl. In quite primitive fashion, as Louis advised me, I was to select her and make myself acquainted with her. We strolled the streets in the early evenings. The girls, like us, strolled in pairs. And strolling girls will look at strolling boys who look. And to this day, in any town, city, or village in which I, in my middle age, find myself, I look on with the eye trained of old experience and watch the sweet innocent game played by the strolling boys and girls who just must stroll when the spring and summer evenings call. The trouble was that in this Arcadian phase of my history, I, who had come through case-hardened from the other side of life, was timid and bashful. Again and again Louis nerved me up. But I didn't know girls. They were strange and wonderful to me after my precious man's life. I failed of the bold front and the necessary forwardness when the crucial moment came. Then Louis